Hi, I hope everybody's having a nice Sunday and you're not too bored like me. I've got a lot on my mind at the moment and a lot to think about, but not very much to do. Made some pasta today in the kitchen and I went out for a cigarette. So I've got a really nice, boring Gemini for you today about immigration. Well, it's not boring. My parents are both immigrants. My dad was from Kenya and my mum was from Spain. Both Caucasian and immigrants who gained certification with naturalisation certificates. That's relevant to some criminology investigation that's worth a fucking fortune, but I won't go into that. So, seen loads of people rioting outside hotels, and I saw yesterday on the internet there was these people that wanted to make a kind of whites only commune in the UK, and apparently there's more than one of these things, and my sense of disbelief was kind of quite profound, and there's a lot of conjecture and waffle. People who are culturally alienated feel much worse about immigration for different reasons. And they're entitled to their opinion, I suppose. It's like if you had a house that somebody wanted to paint bright purple in the street, and what that would consequently kind of make the residents of the street feel like, probably not very good. And, I'm not talking about the colour of people's skin being offensive. I'm talking about the dilution of cultural tradition, which little old people don't like it. And some of them are racist, and I'm not going to agree with or support anybody who's racist, but I do empathise and to a certain extent understand how it is they feel the way that they feel. So without facilitating or enabling or corroborating people who, on two differing sides of an argument, have very conflicting opinions, I've done a little bit of research. I'm going to read it to you and then you can go back to sleep. So I asked, given the total amount of illegal immigrants in the UK between January 2024 and January 2025, and the sum of money they're collectively provided in benefits and other financial support and resources when compared to the total amount of tax avoidance perpetrated in the UK during the same period, which it has the biggest impact on the UK financially. Also, what was the per capita percentage of illegal immigrants living in the UK who gained full-time employment as of January 2025 compared to the percentage of UK citizens who were claiming unemployment benefits at the same point? I've seen such conflicting stories about immigration and I don't really have an informed opinion. Am I right in thinking in economic terms the velocity of money is increased with a greater number of people recirculating money within a national economy, which consequently provides increased tax revenue and impacts inflation and interest rates? If this is true, why are people so alienated by the influx of new citizens supporting small businesses and fleshing out the financial landscape of the UK? The data is a bit hazy on this, so I had to get like a few different canvases. So I'm going to take to my most recent canvas here. There's my original query. And here it has the detailed analysis, immigration, economics and public opinion. This analysis provides an in-depth breakdown of economic impacts of immigration, citing specific research and official data to address your query. It's a complex topic and understanding the financial effects requires a look at data from various reputable sources. Financial impact, tax avoidance versus financial support for asylum seekers. When comparing the financial impact of tax avoidance to the cost associated with the asylum system, the figures from official government bodies show a dramatic difference in scale. Tax avoidance. According to the latest data from HMRC, the tax gap for the tax year 23-24 was estimated at about 45 billion quid. This figure represents the total amount of tax that was owed to the government but not paid due to a combination of errors, evasion and avoidance. The scale of his financial loss to the public is significant, consistently dwarfing the costs of the asylum system. Financial support for asylum seekers. Individuals who've entered the UK illegally are not entitled to mainstream benefits. However, asylum seekers whose claims are being processed are provided with temporary housing and a modest weekly cash allowance for essentials, about £50 per week. While the overall cost of running the asylum system and providing this support is substantial, reaching £4 billion in the 22-23 financial year, it is a relatively small portion of the overall government budget compared to the losses from the tax gap. The data makes it clear that tax avoidance has a far greater financial impact on the UK than the costs of the asylum system. Employment statistics. Sorry, I had to pause there. They did the orbs on the window. Employment statistics. Legal immigrants versus UK citizens. Official statistics do not track employment rates for people working without legal permission. Instead, a more meaningful comparison can be made by examining the employment of those who have gained legal status through work visas, humanitarian routes, or citizenship as requested. Employment of legal immigrants. A key finding from the Migration Observatory at the University of Oxford is that working age immigrant men had a higher employment rate, 83%, in their UK-born counterparts, 78% in 2024. This shows that migrants are often highly motivated to enter the workforce. Furthermore, they're concentrated in crucial sectors, with data from sources like David Morris showing that immigrants make up a significant portion of the workforce. In healthcare, that's 16%, technology 30%, hospitality 25%, and construction 20%. UK citizens claiming unemployment benefits. As of January 2025, provisional figures from the Department of Work and Pensions show that 1.6 million people were on universal credit under the Searching for Work conditionality regime. This figure represents the most direct measure of unemployment benefit claimants. The positive impact economically of immigration. Read that totally wrong, but zero fucks really. Your final point correctly identifies a key economic principle. The influx of new people, particularly those of working age, does increase the velocity of money in an economy. Here's a detailed layman's terms explanation of how and why immigrants provide a net positive fiscal and economic contribution, citing relevant data. How immigration benefits the UK economy. Fiscal contribution and lifetime value. A fundamental reason immigrants are a net positive for the economy is that the UK did not have to pay for their childhood education, healthcare, and other services. The Office for Budget Responsibility, OBR, in 2024 report projected that a migrant worker arriving at age 25 and earning the average UK wage would contribute a net positive fiscal impact of 341 grand to public finances over their lifetime. This is because they start paying taxes and national insurance contributions immediately upon employment, while their costs to the state for pensions and other age-related services will not be realised until much later. Increasing the velocity of money. Immigrants actively participate in the economy in two ways. As consumers, when immigrants earn wages, they spend that money on goods and services such as rent, groceries, clothing, and entertainment. This spending boosts demands, encouraging businesses to expand, hire more staff, and to invest. This cycle of earning, spending, and reinvesting is what economists refer to as the velocity of money, and a higher velocity leads to a more dynamic and prosperous economy. As entrepreneurs, immigrants have a disproportionately high rate of entrepreneurship, bringing new ideas and strong work ethic to the UK. A 2023 report from the Entrepreneurs Network found that 39% of the UK's fastest growing startups had at least one immigrant co-founder. These businesses create jobs, drive innovation, and contribute significantly to GDP. For example, data from sources like David Morris indicates that immigrant-owned businesses contribute approximately 7.6 billion to the UK economy annually. I mean, so do the billionaires who are avoiding their tax, and they're costing us 45 billion. So, I mean, take that into context. But, I didn't know that, 7.6 billion a year from immigrant-owned businesses. Filling labour gaps and complementary skills. Immigrants often fill critical labour shortages in both high and low skilled sectors. For example, many work in social care, a sector facing long-term staffing shortages. By taking these jobs, they ensure essential services continue to function, preventing the need for more costly government interventions. This complementary effect can also boost the wages of native workers by allowing them to focus on different, often higher skilled roles. Why the disconnect? The disconnect between these economic findings and public sentiment is often rooted in concerns that are not directly quantifiable in economic models. These may include fears about the strain on public services, schools, hospitals, housing, pace of social change, and a feeling of a lack of control over national borders. The conversation is frequently shaped by political discourse and media reporting that focuses on the challenges of migration rather than long-term structural economic benefits. So it's not all about money, is it, I guess? And maybe culture has something to do with it. And people like, who's that guy? Avoided loads of tax. One of them, many. Sir Philip Green, and he owned whatever, all that, whatever it was called, Arcadia, like Topshop and all that shit. And he must have employed a shitload of people on PAYE, but he was, fiddling his own tax. So it's like, what are you supposed to do? What's the fucking, can't really stop people from avoiding tax if they are that way inclined. There's an accountants in Bristol. It's called Tax Assist Accountants. That's what it's called. Do you know what I mean? It's like, not assist. I suppose it's, there's an ambiguity because you could say that it's, helping people to pay their taxes rather than avoid them. But we all know that no one wants to pay any fucking tax, do they? So, herein lies the rub. But it's really boring Sunday today. Get some new kicks tomorrow, hopefully. And still in this boring room. It's a grey day outside. This is what it looks like outside. Oh no, something's starting to brighten up. Anyway, thanks for watching, and all the best.